that the Sri Lankan Air Force says it facilitated Gotabaya's flight out of the Lankan island with the approval of the Defence Ministry, adhering to all rules and guidelines. The Air Force confirms it had provided facilities to Rajapaksa, his wife and 2 security officers to leave for Maldives this morning. The Sri Lankan Air Force says that the flight was given in accordance with the powers vested in an executive president according to the constitution of Sri Lanka. And as Abhishek was telling us, now Gotabaya is still the president of Sri Lanka. So, the Air Force has to abide by what he says, so that they say that all rules were followed, and they have confirmed that they did facilitate his leaving Sri Lanka, and that this is according to the constitution of the country as well. Now, going back to Purnima Murali, who we know is right in the eye of the storm. She's at GAL, at the Presidential Secretariat. Everybody in the country wants to go and take a look at what is there in these buildings, because once the president steps down, right now he has said he will step down, but both the president, that is Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, they are lingering at the door. So this is the window when the people can go and see these buildings. Going back to Purnima. Purnima, have you managed to get a word from a family? Because as we were discussing, these are the citizens of the country, not just protesters.
Well, many families here do not want to speak. Children, they are not really wanting to speak now. Many of them we tried approaching are too shy to speak on camera, Shilpa. But let's try to get more reactions from here. Do you want a change? What is your message?
Only my message, if we want to real change, but if you can see that every Sri Lankan want to be real change, but it will not easy, we all know about. But I like to invite every Sri Lankan in worldwide, please, with us, this tough movement. This is the real movement in Sri Lankan history, and this is the historical day, I think. Then again, I like to especially India and our neighbor and other South Asian countries. And
Sri Lankans think India is more helpful than China?
Yes. It's only my yes, and I like to, especially India, and I like to invite. So why then, if you haven't any chance, okay, if you can see the people, they only need peaceful country. And
what are the problems that you're all facing in the country? There's so much anger against Rajapakshas, against Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. What are the kind of problems that all the citizens are facing, especially the poor people of the country?
Then I think we haven't the real leaders. If they need, they came every 5 years. They came and they don't want to real change, but the people need to real change. So why they need not only for food.
Is it very difficult to find food? Is it very difficult to find fuel? Is it difficult to find everything in Sri Lanka right now?
You correct everything. Everything we lost, but we have money, but we can't buy fuel. And every support we need, but I don't know why the President, Prime Minister live in silent. Then this is my last request, every Sri Lankan. So this is the very great movement and great day.
People's movement.
Yes.
They say that it's a historic day if the president finally offers to resign. I mean, he's offered to resign, but he finally resigns. They call it a historic moment. They call it a victory of the people's movement. And Shilpa, many of them we speak to say that it's time for a change. And the anger of these people of Sri Lanka is palpable, because one has to wait for 3 days, literally 2 to 3 days, in and around these petrol stations to get a chance to refill fuel. And they have to wait there. They can't go home because they're going all the way to find a petrol station that's open. So they will have to wait there for 2-3 days, have their breakfast, lunch, dinner there, and then they manage to fill petrol. Many of them now shifting to cycles because they find that unavailability of fuel is impacting their lives. And not just that, even essential commodities, though there's inflation opposition on the one side, people say that if they are ready to spend money, also they are not able to find these essential commodities and medicines. People who have to travel to hospitals, some of them, the surgeries are getting delayed because of shortage, lack of supply of medicines as well. So all the essential commodities are either not available or available at expensive, at exorbitant prices, in fact, which is why this anger, they say, is going to continue against the Rajapakshas, against politicians who have not really addressed the crisis that the nation is going through. Shilpa.
Well, Purnima, we're playing out those scenes on our screen. You're at ground zero, and then we've been showing our viewers the months of angry protests. Now, let's just quickly discuss what the people want. You've been on ground, you've been talking to them. Now, what will happen when the president steps down is that Ranil Wickremesinghe will succeed him, but he's also deeply unpopular, so he probably will not take a chance. Then you have the speaker, who is most likely to step in, but Mahinda Yappa Abeyewardena is an ally of Rajapaksa as well, and the people don't want him. So who will be acting president now in Sri Lanka? And, especially with the people that you're speaking to saying they don't want any known faces in the government. There is deep-seated anger towards these known faces.
Well, as per constitution, if the president resigns, then the current prime minister will act as the interim president. Meanwhile, the parliament will be convened within 3 days, which is expected to convene on the 15th of July. And then they will discuss nominations for the president's post. All the opposition parties will have to come to a consensus, and they will have to vote for one candidate. So among the parliamentarians, they will nominate 2-3 people, and then there will be a vote in the parliament. So on the 20th of July is when they plan to vote for the nominees who want to become president. So the opposition parties currently is trying to form an all-party government, an interim government, because PM Ranil Wickremesinghe made it clear that he's ready to resign, but there should be an all-party government in place before he also resigns. Therefore, at the moment, if president resigns, because there is no all-party government that the opposition parties are ready with, what is likely to happen is that Prime Minister will be made the interim president, then they will ensure that the parliament convenes, and then nominations for president's post will happen, and finally the voting will be done to elect a permanent president till Sri Lanka goes to polls.
I am the one controlling the point. You can anytime come inside, no doubt.
So what is, President has fled the country and is currently in Maldives and trying to go to another destination. Was this something that all of you expected?
Destinations that all have said that Dubai is the place. Some said that India is the place. Some said that Maldives is the place. No one knows.
Did you expect President to leave the country at this?
Never ever. He shouldn't leave the country because he and his family, Rajapaksa family, they are really thieves, and they struggled us to make the point, and they never ever should go away from the country, overseas especially. They should go to the court.
So right now, if President submits his resignation, then Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe then becomes the interim president as per the constitution. Would the protesters, would the people of Sri Lanka be okay with that?
Never. We fight for one aim. The points, first 2 points are, first, Mr. Gotabaya, you should go away. Second, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, you must go away.
Who do you suggest can become the president of Sri Lanka?
Excuse me?
Then who do you all think can be made the interim president of the country?
Yeah, we'll see. Here we don't have exact leader. We are strugglers, the protesters, they are trying, this people's movement, common people's power and common people's movement. And they don't have one exact person to make the point. But, however, after this struggle, this protest, one person will head up his point, and he will be the leader, common leader of this special
Hoping
country.
that there is one leader among the protesters who could lead the country.
Of course, but we should read the amendment carefully. We should get the help from the person, 20 to 25% from inside. Instead of that, we cannot make the point, right? First, we should control them as all the people trying to come here, that they are with strugglers, and we should control their heads. That 225, they cannot be controlled the country as they want.